Want to be president of the Republic of South Africa?
Well, nobody in the ANC ever stands up and says, I want to be president. There are people who come to you and say, we would like you to lead. Like I was asked, to become deputy president.
COSATU seems to think you can be president.
That's what they say, and a number of other
so what
institutions.
Do you say?
And they are exercising their choice, their right to say, we want you to lead. Now, I'm going to be listening to the voices of the branches of the African National Congress throughout the country who may well either come up with the same view or a different view. And when those have now pronounced themselves, then I'll say, yes, I'm available, because it will be very humbling to be asked to get into a key position like that to lead if that finally happens.
But you are available.
Well, I'm available to serve.
If you are made president, what are the one or two things that you would change? Because people are asking themselves, if Cyril Ramaphosa became president, are we going to get more of the same? Or is something that we can look forward to? And here are one or two things. We've already said on the Constitution, you are happy with it, how it's sitting. But, in terms of practical things you're talking about, you fathered, partially the NDP as well. You fathered BEE. So there are pieces of legislation that you have steered throughout your career, right? But are there things that if you had made president tomorrow, that you will say, these two things I will change?
Well, we're not there yet. So we're not there yet, and I think there's a saying in English that
don't count your chickens.
Don't count your chickens before they are hatched. And I think that saying is pregnant with a lot of wise words and great meaning.
Or you can give us a ring on 0861 987 000 if you want to join that conversation with the Deputy President. We'll be taking your calls shortly. Marikana, a terrible blot in this constitutional tapestry. What do you regret about Marikana?
Well, there are a lot of things that I regret about Marikana. I articulated some of them at the commission. I obviously regret the fact that the workers were not given the due opportunity to have a proper hearing by the management about the demand they were making. And I think that was a huge mistake, mistake that led to the deaths of so many people. And I also regret some of the words that I used, which were hugely hurtful to many people. In an email, I never meant to have them have that type of meaning, but I regret that. But when the commission finally came out and said that I was not really to blame for it, I accepted that. So there are those things that I regret. And of course, one regrets the loss of life. One does regret that, because there are families that are grieving over what happened there.
A lot of people, and you must tell me whether this is your style or is it, but a lot of people find you a lot more silent about the implosion that's happening in the ANC and the ructions and so on. And last week you said something quite profound at the Nelson Mandela Institute down the road here, that we can't ignore what is happening in the ANC. Why are you speaking out now as opposed to what you have maintained over the years, which is over at least the last 2 years or so, when all these things have been happening, which is to try and not be seen to be speaking out openly against what is happening there that is hurting the movement?
Well, essentially, my own general orientation is that things in the ANC must be handled inside of the movement.
Okay.
I am a disciplined member of the ANC and always have believed that whatever happens in the ANC family must be handled inside that family. Discussed there, deliberated there, and solutions must be found. And I'm also a keen builder of unity. I believe in the unity of our movement, that of our movement must remain as united as we've always had it in the past, because it is when it is united that we are able to achieve great things and move it forward.
So you'll maintain that approach?
Well, I do, because people would find it, particularly, the media and other people, will find it quite exhilarating and exciting.
If somebody speaks out of turn.
If, for instance, Cyril Ramaphosa were to be heard to be going head-to-head against President Zuma.
I understand.
That would be so exciting for many people. And I'm afraid that is not the style that we should have in the ANC. In the ANC, we discuss matters internally.
Let's take some calls. Father Smangaliso Mkashwa. Good evening, Father.
JJ.
Hello, Father.
Why are you put me in a difficult situation? Cyril Ramaphosa, not only is he my comrade, not only is he my deputy president, but is also someone with whom I found myself flying to Sweden to learn how to be how to head the protection services for newly elected, or rather newly re-elected Robben Island prisoners. So it's someone who's very close to my heart. But not only that, but by virtue of being the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, he is the patron of the moral regeneration movement. So, in other words, if someone is very, honestly, I must say, very close to me, and I have great respect for him, but I also am aware of the challenges that he is facing and that is likely to face not only now, but also in the future. So that's why I'm saying that you are putting me in a very difficult situation, because what I was going to talk to you about is something slightly different, but also related.
Yes, Father.
To what we're talking about. Would you allow me to do that?
Please go for it, Father. Feel free.
I was going to say that 2016 can best be described as an annus horribilis. You understand the Latin?
Please explain that Latin to us.
Annus, it means it's a year during which some terrible things or difficult things happen, either to a country or to people. To give you an example, very briefly, the Gupta Gate saga, the judiciary being snowed under with issues that normally should be dealt with by Parliament or the executive. I don't want to give specific examples and so on and so on. Thirdly, the spiritual aberrations in our country, so many churches coming up, prophets, bishops, and so on, and with all kinds of very strange spiritual healings and so on and so on. Those are issues that are really of concern, I think, to the country as a whole. And the chaos in Parliament, in the provincial legislatures, and now, unfortunately, right down to municipal councils.
Yes, Father.
The dysfunctionality of cabinet, which is a great concern, because clearly cabinet is divided. This is no secret. Everybody knows about that, you see, and so on and so on.
Yes, Father.
And then, of course, a very discredited NP, National Prosecution Authority. Very worrisome. And then, of course, the fees must fall, and its aftermath. the SABC nightmare, we all know what's going on right now. And I was just reading a book by John Mattison called God, Spies and Lies. And it addresses it specifically to the whole issue of the SABC and the transformation of that institution and so on. Last but not least,
yes, Father,
the incident of naked racism that is inflicting us. So I'm therefore saying that we're in a situation where 2016 is really going to be remembered as a huge, huge challenge to all of us. But having said that, though, for me, the conclusion is that the center is not holding. And that, for me, is most what